Alright, what's up guys? It's your boy Brad down here in the RPO BMX lab, and we're going to be trying something new today. I'm going to be doing a parts review, and I figured what better part to do than one of the most trending parts right now, which is Frontload Stems. I don't know if you've noticed, but I definitely noticed in the past year a lot of people definitely started hopping on the front-load stem train, and that's fine. BMX does work in trends, and that's a good thing to mix it up. Now, there are plenty of brands to choose from, some 35 or more that sell aftermarket stems, but right now I just have 5 that I'm going to go over, and these are, stems that I like. I carry in the shop a couple, and I also have some that I've gotten myself, and I've ridden all of these stems. I've tried them all, so I don't like to review anything that I didn't try, unless I definitely rode something like the same thing with the same geometry. But I did get a chance to try all these stems, and I'm going to tell you about them now. So I do have some notes, and I'm going to need them because there's some information that I don't remember. And so I'm going to start out with the heaviest stem, and the heaviest stem is the United Mickey stem. This is Mickey Fleck de Silva's signature stem by United. It is a solid block of CNC'd aluminum. It weighs in at 12.6 ounces or 356 grams, which is pretty hefty stem. You can definitely tell. And if you've ever seen Mickey ride, which I definitely recommend checking him out because he's one of my favorite riders, you'll understand why the stem is as beefy as it is. The geometry of the stem, it's a 48 millimeter reach with an 8 millimeter rise. So 48 millimeters is one of the shorter stems. Getting much shorter than that, I think Matt Nordstrom has a stem that's maybe 46, but 48 is still pretty short. It's definitely a street style stem with the front load of 8 millimeter, which kind of keeps the bars a little bit lower or allows you to ride a larger bar. I think Mickey rides the Primo rebars, probably with a larger they're a larger bar also. So this stem comes in between $70 to $85 if you can get it here in the States. United is a company in England, but I do like to get some of their parts like these, which I think are pretty cool. This came out, I believe, last year or the year before, and this is the only color I could get it in. They had it in brass and black, but those sold out like pretty quickly, so still have a couple of these left. Now the next stem I'm going to get into is a pretty basic stem. It's just the BSD drop stem. This stem weighs in at 12.2 ounces or 345 grams. Very clean. It has the recessed cap. The Mickey stem also does. The specs on this, it has a 50 millimeter reach and a 10 millimeter rise. 50 millimeters is pretty standard. And I would say most people that run front load ride street, but I'm not going to pigeonhole it. But the 50 millimeters is also pretty comfortable, a little more stable than the 48 millimeter. And next we have, coming in at 11.8 ounces or 333 grams, is the reissue of the Animal Jump Off stem. This stem is definitely a classic. One of my favorite stems. I currently have it on my sleeper build. It feels great. It has a 48 millimeter reach, a 12 millimeter rise, and what I like about a front load, you don't have to cut the forks down. I usually just throw a nice spacer under there. And Animal now has the black ones out, so I have that under there. I'll be doing a bike check of that, and it just looks super dope. I have it with the Animal Liberty bars, which represent Philly 610 here in Pennsylvania, and give you a good look at that. This is also CNC'd, just like the last two, which means they are made out of a solid block of aluminum. and I will explain the difference with this next stem, which is the Cinema Projector stem. This stem weighs 11.4 ounces or 321 grams. I didn't put the light on the camera, so I hope you guys get to see this well enough. But I was a fan of this. I got one of these as soon as they came out. This is a forged alloy stem, which means that they make a mold of the stem and then they take a bunch of metals and steel, chrome, or whatever, and then they mush it together and they make, and it's almost like a mold. They pour it in and it's a mold, and it's actually very strong. It can be stronger than the CNC solid metal blocks. I didn't think that at first. I used to be a big fan of just getting the CNC, but after some research and talking to some guys on the channel, shout out, I found out that the forged stems are just as strong, and this also has some really cool details. It's different. I like that it's different. The specs on this one are 50 millimeter reach, which is an average reach, and a 25 millimeter rise, which isn't too high of a rise. It's, you know, decent rise, but I've put it on a few builds, and although it looks a little bit weird here, it looks pretty good on the builds I've had it on. Now to the lightest stem, we are going to the Odyssey CFL V2. The difference between the V2 and the V3 is simply that, let's see if we have, the V3 has larger bolts. So if you want the larger bolts, you get the V3. I think the smaller bolts are nice as well. I don't know if any of these have XL bolts. I think this one, nope. But maybe Animal, they have some XL bolts, I think. So that's pretty much the difference between the CFL V3 and the CFL V2. This one is the lightest of all of them. It weighs in at 11.1 ounces and 318 grams. It has, this is interesting, it has a 53 millimeter reach and a 7.5 millimeter rise. I don't know if those specs are the same for the CFL V3. I'll have to check. You can see it says CFL right there, V2, and then on the bottom here it has the Odyssey symbols, and it says 53 millimeter and 7.5 millimeter rise, which is actually the shortest rise. The second shortest rise would be the Mickey at 8 millimeters. So we have an array of stems here. This one would probably be this Odyssey CFL V2 is the lightest and probably the most stable, being that is the longest. But this is a great group of stems. I hope you learned a little something, whether to see if they're cold forged, whether to see if they're CNC'd. I think they're both great. I think BMX has come really long way, and it's going to keep coming and keep moving forward. It's just going to be moving forward very slowly right now. So patience. BMX still has a long way to go. I feel like in the next 20 years we're going to see a whole lot of improvements in both street style BMX and street riding, and it's that kind of bikes we ride, just like we have evolved in the past, I don't know, 30 years of BMX. So alright, want to give another shout out. I just picked up a pair of these nice little pink Ideal bar ends at Action Wheels Bike Shop in Bethlehem. I'm a big fan of bar ends and things like this, so sometimes I make my own, and maybe I'll give some out on the channel at some point. But yeah, these things are pretty sweet. I probably won't even want to put them on because I don't want to scratch them. But that's it for today. I do have my scale here, so the weights that I used were official weights that I have. They may not reflect the same on the computer. I am not a doctor of BMXology of any sort, and I do not claim to be. So all this is just my opinion, and you can like it or leave it, and you guys know the rest of the words. So this is your boy Brad, signing out. I'll be doing top load soon.